Good to have you on SpaceX Daily, episode 33. I'm Patrick in Vancouver. Today is July 15th, 2026. Plenty moving across Starship, Falcon, and Starlink today. Starship Flight 13's planned debut of V3 satellites will test whether the vehicle can deliver operational payloads while advancing rapid reuse goals. Flight 13 will carry the first operational Starlink V3 satellites, shifting the test campaign from pure vehicle validation toward payload deployment. The mission continues Starship's progression toward orbital refueling demonstrations required for higher energy trajectories. Earlier flights established the baseline for booster and ship performance. This one adds real satellite hardware. Observers will track whether the new satellites survive the higher energy ascent profile. Starship last appeared in coverage on July 14 with the FAA clearance for the next integrated test. This flight moves the open question of payload integration one step forward. Starbase teams are preparing ship and booster hardware for the next integrated test flight. Ground systems and propellant loads are being readied ahead of the planned window. The test follows completion of the prior mishap investigation and incorporates lessons on vehicle control. Range and FAA final checks remain the immediate gating items. This continues the post-investigation arc established after the July 14 clearance. From the Falcon side, the Space Development Agency's Tranche 1 Transport Layer E mission is scheduled for a Falcon 9 liftoff from Vandenberg SLC-4E on July 16. Booster B1103 will attempt its fourth flight and land on OCISLY. The launch marks the 705th SpaceX mission overall and the 86th this year. Success requires precise orbital insertion of the SDA spacecraft. Watch for post-flight confirmation of the 190th consecutive SpaceX launch success. The 2-day, 19-hour pad turnaround at SLC-4E continues the cadence tracked since the prior Vandenberg flight. As SpaceX users are tracking live updates for the SDA Tranche 1 Transport Layer E mission, including booster B1103's fourth flight and OCI-SLI landing. Observers note the 2-day, 19-hour pad turnaround at SLC-4E as a data point on Vandenberg cadence. Discussion threads highlight the 45th launch from the pad this year and the 212th OCISY landing target. Future Starship vehicles will no longer use explosive termination systems that destroy the vehicle on command. The change reflects the program's shift toward controlled flight termination and eventual recovery hardware. Earlier test articles relied on the simpler destructive method to stay within range safety envelopes. Removing the system reduces mass and complexity while requiring new termination logic that preserves vehicle integrity for reuse. The update aligns with the ongoing arc toward booster catch and ship return that has been central since the last Starship segment. A Falcon 9 lifted off from Florida and placed another batch of Starlink satellites into their target orbits. The mission used a flight-proven first stage, continuing the booster reuse cadence that has driven launch economics. Payload deployment occurred after second stage separation and fairing jettison. The flight adds to the constellation's growth in low Earth orbit. Falcon 9 reuse counts have climbed steadily since the 600th flight-proven booster launch covered yesterday. A Falcon 9 is manifested to carry DARPA's satellite servicing demonstration on July 21. The mission will test on-orbit repair techniques using a dedicated servicing spacecraft. This adds a national security payload to the Falcon manifest outside the Starlink and SDA cadence. Range and vehicle availability will determine whether the date holds. The July 21 slot follows the pattern of Starshield adjacent contracts tracked in recent weeks. Separate threads discuss the July 21 DARPA satellite repair payload and its implications for national security manifest diversity. Regulators cleared the next Starship integrated flight test, allowing the campaign to resume. The approval follows review of prior flight data and updated safety measures. Separately, Iranian statements have flagged Starlink terminals as potential targets, raising questions about constellation resilience in contested regions. The dual developments highlight Starship's test cadence alongside operational Starlink exposure. Starlink's direct-to-cell and regional coverage questions remain open from the prior episode. Jamaican and Cayman authorities issued temporary flight restrictions for the expected Starship test window. The notices cover potential overflight and debris corridors. Similar restrictions have accompanied prior integrated flights to protect civil aviation. The measures activate only if the launch proceeds on the notified day. The restrictions follow the same pattern used for the previous Starship test window. Worth keeping an eye on, XAI installed 59 natural gas turbines at the Colossus 2 site in Mississippi without required federal clean air permits, according to regulatory filings and reporting. The installation has already released thousands of tons of pollutants in an area with elevated lung disease rates. Resolution would require the company to secure permits retroactively or modify operations to meet emission limits. The episode follows earlier coverage of Colossus power plant construction timelines. On the AI front, Cursor's critical arbitrary code execution vulnerability, reported 7 months ago, remains unfixed. Researchers have now published full details that allow execution simply by opening a poisoned repository. The issue affects millions of users of the AI code editor. The flaw was first disclosed in December 2025 and has drawn renewed attention after full exploit details appeared on public forums. Claude's core designer has joined Cursor, strengthening the team behind the AI editor that distributes Grok and other models to developers. The hire adds expertise in model integration and agent tooling at a moment when Cursor is expanding its forward-deployed engineering offerings. Elon Musk acquired a $1 billion gas turbine company to supply power for xAI's Grok training clusters. The purchase provides dedicated generation capacity for the expanding Colossus 2 installation and follows the earlier installation of 59 turbines at the Mississippi site. From an engineering standpoint, Starship Flight 13 will attempt to place the first V3 Starlink satellites into orbit, moving the vehicle from pure test article to payload carrier. The satellites are heavier and more capable than prior generations, requiring the ship to deliver precise orbital insertion energy while preserving enough propellant margin for a controlled re-entry. From first principles, every kilogram of satellite mass reduces the propellant available for the return burn. The V3 design therefore trades added capability against tighter margins on the ship's Delta V budget. The test also exercises the new payload deployment hardware under flight-like vibration and thermal loads that ground tests cannot fully replicate. Success would validate that the current Starship stack can handle operational traffic without dedicated upper stage modifications. The immediate watch item is whether the satellites separate cleanly and acquire their initial attitude before the ship performs its deorbit maneuver. The decision to retire explosive flight termination systems on future Starships follows the same logic. Destructive charges add mass and introduce failure modes that become unacceptable once the vehicle must survive to landing. Removing them forces the guidance and control software to achieve termination through engine cutoff and attitude commands alone. That change lowers the vehicle's dry mass and simplifies the recovery architecture, directly improving the economics of rapid reuse. It also tightens the requirement on range safety modeling because the vehicle remains intact longer during an abort. The net effect is a higher fidelity test of the systems that will eventually support booster catch and ship return. The Falcon 9's continued use of flight-proven boosters on Starlink missions illustrates a parallel cost reduction path. Each reuse cycle amortizes the original manufacturing cost across more flights, shrinking the effective per kilogram expense toward the raw material floor of the vehicle. The 600th flight-proven booster launch already demonstrated that the structural and thermal margins support dozens of cycles. Before we go, watch for the July 21 DARPA servicing demo and the Starship Flight 13 window that follows the new airspace notices. That's your SpaceX news for today. SPCX is trading at $136.08, down 0.7%. If the show saves you time, a rating or review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify genuinely helps new listeners find it. I'm Patrick in Vancouver. Thanks for listening. See you tomorrow. And before you go, this show is part of the NARA Network, a family of daily podcasts on tech, science, and markets, each one a short, sharp briefing you can finish on the commute. If today earned its place in your feed, here's your next listen. Models and Agents, your daily briefing on AI models and agents. Find every show free at naranetwork.com. The Do Positive Pod is the club for people who do something about it. Episodes and the dispatch wall at naranetwork.com/the DPPOD. This episode used AI voice synthesis of my voice. Editorial selection and analysis are my own.